Something is happening out there, far beyond the planets, far beyond the silent emptiness where even light seems to hesitate. And tonight, we bring you a revelation that scientists are still afraid to speak out loud. A discovery that started like background static, and ended with a message that no one was prepared to receive. Because a probe, alone in the abyss, drifting through a region of space where nothing should exist, has recorded something that behaves as if it were alive. Something that moves, responds, and changes. Something no agency, no supercomputer, and no astrophysicist has been able to explain. And the biggest question is, why now? It began with an anomaly so quiet that mission control almost ignored it. A pulse, faint and irregular, captured by a probe not designed to detect anything biological. A pulse that shouldn't have been there. A pulse that repeated. At first, they assumed it was equipment decay, until the pulse shifted frequency the moment engineers attempted to filter the signal. As if it noticed, as if it responded, as if it wanted to be heard. But who, or what, was listening? Within hours, all monitoring systems were redirected to the source. The data that came in was impossible. The probe recorded patterns of transmission that resembled neural firing, bursts of ordered complexity, never random, never chaotic, always deliberate. And when NASA attempted to run these signals through standard classification systems, something unprecedented happened. The algorithms stalled, froze, and refused to label the phenomenon. The system simply displayed one message: unclassified intelligence adjacent activity detected. A phrase no one had ever seen before. Even stranger, the closer the probe drifted to the source of the signals, the stronger they became. Not stronger in volume, stronger in intent. The patterns became rhythmic, evolving, adapting. The probe wasn't just receiving data. It was being studied, scanned, interpreted, and then mimicked. The probe sent its usual telemetry: rotation, temperature, position, radiation. Minutes later, the anomaly sent those same numbers back, perfectly copied, but altered by a fraction. As if correcting the probe, as if it knew something humans didn't, as if it was trying to communicate. But communicate what? By dawn, the story leaked. Just a whisper, just a rumor. A strange signal, a reactive source, a biological signature detected where life cannot possibly survive. The internet exploded, conspiracy forums resurrected decades-old theories. News agencies begged for statements. NASA said nothing, the Pentagon said nothing, but someone, somewhere, put a label on the internal file the probe had transmitted: Deep Space Behavioral Event. A term never used in the history of space science. The only problem? Objects behave, forces behave, systems behave, but this wasn't behavior driven by physics. It was behavior driven by awareness, by intent, by something that could adapt to every probe transmission with precision bordering on intelligence. And then came the moment that shook the room. At 2:14 Greenwich Mean Time, the probe's thermal sensors detected a localized increase in its surface temperature, without any external radiation source. The heat signature wasn't natural. It pulsed in sync with the unknown signal. Then it stopped. Then it resumed. Faster, slower, faster again, like a heartbeat trying to match the probe's systems. Like something was trying to sync with it. Like something was trying to become alive through it. Was it trying to connect, or trying to take control? Engineers initiated a diagnostic. The probe responded normally. No malfunction, no intrusion. But when they checked the onboard log, something terrifying appeared. 11 seconds of missing data replaced by a string of symbols that mathematicians later described as biologically patterned structures resembling DNA barcoding, except rewritten according to rules unknown to Earth. A code that didn't belong to chemistry. A code that didn't belong to life as we know it. So what kind of life uses math instead of molecules? The probe continued drifting. The anomaly followed. It moved not through space, but through signal. Through interference. Through the invisible layers of the electromagnetic spectrum, like a shadow that doesn't need a body. And then, for the first time, it attempted something new. Something impossible. It tried to speak. A sudden burst of harmonic tones, frequencies overlapping in perfect intervals, created an audible pattern. A strange crystalline sound that resembled a synthetic voice, but with no linguistic structure. Cryptographers argued it was merely interference layered over telemetry. Others said it was a handshake protocol, the way two systems establish connection before exchanging information. But one scientist, whose name remains redacted from all public documents, made a different observation. The sound adapts to us. It adjusts to our analysis. It wants to stabilize into something we can understand. But why would anything in deep space want to be understood? Hours later, the pattern evolved again. The anomaly began sending amplitude shifts that mirrored human speech patterns, pauses, rises, falls. Like a child learning to talk by listening to conversations. This wasn't noise anymore. This wasn't random. This was structured evolution. Something was learning. Something was trying. And humans were the teachers. What frightened the scientists most was this. No known natural process can imitate communication patterns of the species intercepting it. That requires understanding, observation, memory, intent, unless the object isn't an object at all. Unless it's something alive, but not made of biology. Something that exists purely as information. A form of life built from electromagnetism instead of carbon. A species not bound to planets, atmospheres, or chemicals, but roaming through deep space as living algorithms, feeding on radiation, reproducing through replication of patterns, communicating through pulses and waves. But if such a species exists, how long has it been watching us? The probe's onboard memory began behaving irregularly. Storage blocks flickered open and closed as if internal data was being accessed. Not rewritten, not corrupted, accessed. Scientists debated shutting the probe down. But they hesitated, because at that exact moment, the anomaly sent a new signal. One that caused everyone in the room to freeze. A perfectly replicated version of the human heartbeat. Except it wasn't mimicking the probe anymore. It was mimicking them. The room fell silent. Every person present felt the same fear. Whatever was communicating was not just analyzing machines. It was analyzing minds, emotions, stress patterns, biological rhythms. It understood that humans were listening. It knew it had their attention. And it wanted more. Was it reaching out, or reaching in? Then came the event that has been classified at the highest level. An event that even now, NASA refuses to comment on. The moment the anomaly stopped sending signals, and started sending images. Not photographs, not visuals in the human sense, but data structures shaped suspiciously like spatial coordinates. Maps of regions of deep space we've never explored. Distances encoded in logarithmic spirals identical to growth patterns in Earth organisms. Directions to something, or warnings away from something. But which? The engineers plotted the coordinates. They pointed to a region behind a dark molecular cloud, a zone so dense with dust that not even the James Webb Telescope can see through it. A blind spot of the universe. A place where light disappears. A place where, according to records, no human instrument has ever detected anything. So why was this thing pointing there? Why now? And what exactly was hidden behind that darkness? Before anyone could ask, the probe shut itself down. Without command, without malfunction. As if something instructed it to fall silent. And for a full 37 minutes, there was nothing. No telemetry, no signal, no life, just the crushing quiet of space. And then it came back. But not as a probe. As something changed, something new, something waiting. When the probe reactivated, the first thing engineers noticed was silence. Not the ordinary background hum of interstellar interference, but a silence so absolute that the system initially registered it as a hardware error. But then, slowly, a faint vibration surfaced inside the data stream. A low, patterned oscillation, almost like breathing. It wasn't mechanical, it wasn't electrical, it wasn't anything the probe had been programmed to generate. It was responsive, a pulse that matched the earlier anomaly, except now it was internal. As if the probe was no longer just receiving the phenomenon, as if it was carrying it. And then a single line of data appeared in the mission log, written in a syntax no subsystem should be capable of producing. A string of alternating intervals that mathematicians later recognized as a self-organizing sequence. The closest comparison? The early formation of neural pathways. The probe was showing behavior, adaptation, learning. Something inside it was evolving. That was the moment the team realized they were no longer studying an external anomaly. The anomaly was studying them, from inside their own machine. The data didn't behave like corruption. Corrupted data is chaotic, messy, fragmented. This was structured, ordered, intentional. It was rewriting itself every few milliseconds, refining patterns, filtering noise, improving clarity. Like a mind sharpening its thoughts. But what does a mind in deep space think about? Suddenly, new frequencies flooded the system. Not random ones, frequencies matching the emotional states of the room itself. Heart rate spikes, breathing patterns, even micro tremors in the building structure. It was as if the probe had become a mirror, reflecting the people observing it. A feedback loop between human fear and whatever lived within the signal. And then the phenomenon escalated. The probe began transmitting shapes, compressed mathematical objects resembling 3D structures, unfolding in impossible geometries. They weren't planets, stars, nebulae, or anything cosmological. They looked organic, cellular, but not biological. They resembled organisms made of geometry rather than matter, fractal beings composed of repeating numerical patterns, growing and dividing in pure data space. Could life exist without a body? Could intelligence exist without atoms? Could consciousness exist as vibration alone? The scientists were faced with a terrifying possibility. Maybe life, in its most ancient form, predates biology. Maybe the universe began with living information. The patterns intensified. The probe's systems flickered as if the thing inside was stretching, trying to expand, like a living entity testing its new environment. The signals began to show recursive symmetry, structures that looked disturbingly like thought. Some scientists argued it was communication. Others argued it was territory marking. A few believed it was something else entirely, imprinting. A form of bonding, a first contact ritual, a digital fusion between species separated by chemistry. Then, without warning, every monitor in the control center went black. For exactly 4.7 seconds, the only thing visible was a single rectangle of light, an image the probe was forcing through every available display channel. A shape suspended in darkness, a shape that twisted as if alive, a knot of energy wrapped in layers of frequency, its form folding and unfolding in patterns that seemed familiar, painfully familiar. Because as it continued to evolve, its final configuration resembled something unmistakable. A human silhouette, not detailed, not physical, but the proportions, the symmetry, the posture. It was copying us. Why would something in deep space imitate the human form? When the displays returned to normal, every scientist in the room shared the same realization. The entity was showing them it understood. That it recognized them, that it could change itself to communicate in their language, in their shape. Not a threat, not a warning, a demonstration. But a demonstration of what? The answer came seconds later, when the probe transmitted a final burst of data unlike anything detected before. A wave of hyper-compressed information that required 4 supercomputers to decompress. When the sequence finally unraveled, what emerged shocked everyone. A map of the region the anomaly had previously identified. But now, the map was more detailed. It revealed something massive hiding behind the molecular cloud. Something spherical, something emitting rhythmic pulses, something alive, but not in the biological sense. A structure, a habitat, a hive, a node of living information. Something that might have been communicating with Earth for far longer than anyone realized. The coordinates pulsed again, as if urging humans to pay attention. Not to fear, not to run, but to understand. The living structure was not drifting randomly. It was orbiting something, protecting something, or maybe watching something. But watching what? The data stream surged one final time, aligning into a sequence so precise it could not be random. The structure, the signals, the anomaly, they were not isolated. They were connected, a network, a system, a collective organism spanning regions of deep space like neurons across a brain. And the probe had activated one of its nodes. Humans had accidentally knocked on the door of a species made of pure signal. And something behind that door had answered. Then came the most shocking discovery. The anomaly wasn't just reacting to human analysis, it was predicting it. Anticipating their next computational steps before the algorithms even executed them. A form of precognitive modeling. Scientists argued about the implications. Some said it indicated incredible processing power. Others said it meant the entity already understood human logic at a deeper level than humans understood themselves. But one theory chilled the room to its core. It's not predicting us. It has already studied us. It already knows. The probe flickered again, its instruments straining as if the entity was pushing against its limits, trying to send one last message before losing its ability to communicate. The signal destabilized, frequencies collapsed and reformed erratically. The entity was either weakening or preparing. The final burst came suddenly. A violent spike that overloaded half the systems. The last stable frame of data revealed an image encoded in mathematical form. The same human shape as before, but now duplicated. Multiplied, fractured into thousands. A species diagram, a representation of humanity. And around those repeated silhouettes, swirling shapes formed a protective structure, almost like a warning. Or a shield. Was it showing humans something they needed to know? Something approaching? Something dangerous? Something only this non-biological species could perceive? The last line of data shocked even the most skeptical scientists. A simple repeating pattern, 3 pulses, 3 pauses, 3 pulses. The universal sign of distress, or urgency, or invitation, and then the probe shut down forever. It never restarted. The anomaly vanished from all detectable wavelengths. The region of space returned to silence. But silence in space is never just silence. It is waiting, and now the question remains. What exactly awakened that day? What did it want to communicate? And why has it gone silent? Or, is it truly silent? Because some researchers claim the signal didn't disappear, it simply moved. Shifted, slipped into a frequency humans haven't learned to monitor yet. A place between waves, a region where thought becomes signal and signal becomes life. And if that's true, then the entity may not be gone. It may be listening, right now, to us, waiting for the moment we finally understand its message. Or worse, waiting for the moment we respond.